I'm Erica Thompson, and we are here with Elliott Bundy of Acrisure. The commercial side of insurance isn't always known for breakthrough marketing campaigns. Why would you say that is?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that come to mind. I mean, first, insurance is kind of a risk-adverse business just by its very nature, right? And the entire industry revolves around selecting the best type of risk and creating a sense of security and a sense of stability in the product. And I think that just in and of itself hasn't really led throughout, the history of the industry through a lot of aggressive or risk-taking in the marketing space, at least on the commercial side. On the personal side, in your home and your auto carriers and related agencies that handle that type of business, that business is really transactional. It's all about wallet share. It's really about attention getting because the product isn't very diversified. So, your biggest advertisers in the country or even globally, your Progressives, your Geicos, those you see a lot, right? And those are pretty forward-leaning types of campaigns. And I think on the commercial side, it's always held a little bit back because of that nature of the business.
What would you say some misconceptions are about the industry?
I think a surprise is really just how dynamic it is, right? So I think there's a misconception around it being, fairly staid or stable or just sort of, not dynamic or not apt to change or evolution. When in fact, the thing that most people just don't consider is the fact that insurance literally touches every aspect of the economy and every aspect of our lives, right? From personal lines products to protect your home, protect your car, think about life insurance, to commercial that covers, construction in New York City, to literally every other aspect of the economy, right? Fine art, rocket launches, you get it. It touches everything. So as a result, it's actually a really dynamic industry to be in. And something once people come into it, even if they come into it by accident, they end up staying for a long time as a result of that. It changes every day. The clients you deal with change every day. And it's at a really interesting inflection point because of the intersection of technology and data and analytics and insurtech. There's just a lot of cyclical change and sort of macro change that's happening in the industry, which makes it an even more interesting place to be right now.
Yeah, you mentioned insurtech. What do you think sort of the future of that industry is, especially when it comes to marketing and communications?
So I think the future of any trend is hard to predict, of course, right? But I think we've seen a couple of interesting things play out in the insurtech space in the last couple of years. So if you go back, kind of 3-4 years ago, it really didn't even exist as a concept, right? There was fintech and there was maybe some things happening around marketing technology, but insurance just wasn't yet a thing that technology and kind of startups in that space were going after. That's completely changed, right? And to the point where maybe even some who look at the industry say it's peaked. Or at least peaked for now. So huge levels of investment in the insurtech space in the last couple of years. And I think what we're starting to see now is that settle out a little bit. So, there's some platforms, some startups that are really starting to gain some steam and gain a lot of steam. And I think like you saw in the fintech space, you're going to see some natural sort of pairing up with incumbent champions and more new kids on the block startups.
What would you say are some of the most important elements to a successful client-agency relationship?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's an obvious one to say, particularly when you're talking about kind of a communications, marketing, media relations sort of relationship, but communication, right, is sort of, it's at the core of everything we do, and even when we're talking about communications as kind of the activity that we're doing, how we communicate, between a client and agency is really fundamental, right? We've got to be on the same page about expectations and what each other is working on to kind of get to an end result, right? So I think that's true of any relationship, of course, but to really make this type of relationship work between a client and a customer, first and foremost, it has to be about communication. And then I think about trust, right? So if you can build a long-standing relationship with somebody, it's got to be based on a level of trust and ultimately accountability that each other is going to deliver on what that promise is, right? That you're setting expectations as a client, and as a customer, you have a similar set of expectations about what's going to be delivered.
So in your agency search, why did you guys choose Vested?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in integrated communications marketing. Reflects kind of the background I came in prior to the role I'm in now and how I've approached building teams before. I think it's just, I think it's a more modern way, it's a more flexible way to build a team. I think it creates strong relationships and ultimately stronger products between, the types of activities that we're putting out as a function. So I know Vested takes the same approach, and for me, it was finding an agency that was going to be a really natural extension of my team and provide scale and capacity really quickly. And that's what I found in working with Vested, so I'm really happy about that.
Good. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your thoughts.
Yeah, happy to be at the bar.